Yo, it's Arcade and I'm here with LANDR, and today I'm gonna show you how to make a big EDM banger. I'm gonna go over all the elements of an EDM track, and along the way I'm gonna show you some cool tips and tricks that you can use in your next track as well. So let's get started. First thing first, the BPM is set to 126, and we are gonna start with the composition. So choose your first sound. It can be a piano or a simple synth like this one from LANDR Synth X. Now that we have the sound, let's open up Piano Roll. In Piano Roll, before even getting started, let's set up our key. Just go here, View, Scale Highlighting, use the right click and choose your key. So I'm gonna go with minor and A. And as you can see in the background, we can close this, the Piano Roll changed. Now you can see some of these notes are highlighted and some of them are darker. The highlighted notes are the ones that you can use in the key of A minor. So just use those notes in your track. That way you can be sure you are in the right key the whole time. Now here's the bass that I've created, and it sounds like this. As you can see, I'm following all the highlighted notes, and at first just focus on the simple bass notes, and then so those are the simple notes, and then add more filler notes and some rhythmic notes. And as you can see, I also have these lower octave notes in the beginning. We are gonna turn those into slide notes later. Next, I created the melody in the same pattern as well. Sounds like this. As you can hear, I'm following a similar rhythm with the melody as with the bass. So the notes are playing at the same time, but they are different notes. So with the melody, you really want to complement the bass. And one tip I can give you is play around with the length of the notes. So instead of just having full length all the time, we can actually have some shorter and longer notes, which is gonna make the rhythm more obvious. And of course, right now we are just using this simple sound, but later we're gonna put this melody to use with different sounds. So it's important to keep that in mind. When creating the melody, already imagine the type of sounds you are gonna be using later. So now the composition is ready and we can move on to the next step. Next, let's create the drums. And for an EDM track like this one, it's really simple. First of all, create a kick. Choose your sample. I'm going with this one. A nice snappy kick. All the samples I'm using today are from LANDR Samples, where you'll be able to find samples for pretty much every genre of music. So I found this kick in this Future Bounce pack, and all we needed to do is just drag it in FL Studio and we can use it right away. So to create the drum beat, let's just right click the kick and choose fill each 4 steps. So we have this 4 to the floor beat. And then add in the offbeat hi-hats, like so. I'm using this hi-hat and this hi-hat. Again, both are from LANDR Samples. And we can actually pan them, one to the left a little bit, one to the right. Last thing, just add a clap. Add it on every second beat. So we can have 2 variations of the beat. One is with the hi-hats and one is without the hi-hats. Now that the drums are ready, let's add in the bass. To add the bass, just go back to your composition and copy the bass notes. So here is my bass with the same notes, and I used 4 sounds. So I layered different bass sounds together to create one bigger bass. First and the most obvious is this one, using the 3x oscillator plugin. We set it up on a sine wave, that will be the sub frequencies, and then we also have this saw wave, and what I did is put it on track number 1 and removed all the high frequencies. So this layer of the bass will be only for the low frequencies, and it sounds like this. But for this type of track, I prefer a more hard-hitting bass, so that's why I added these layers as well. They sound like this. And they consist of a few sounds. We have this one from Flex. Then we have this one. Very future housey. And then we have the 3x oscillator again, but this time all we have is just a white noise with a really short envelope, so it sounds like this. Which might seem strange, but this just makes the attack of the bass a bit more obvious in the whole mix. Of course, for these bass layers, I put them on track number 4 and removed all the low frequencies. So in the previous one, we removed the high frequencies. In this one, we removed the low frequencies, so they work together nicely and don't overlap. We also need to sidechain the bass, so every time the kick hits, the volume of the bass is lowered. I use kickstart for this, so you can hear the bass is now sort of pumping. And the bass with the drums sounds like this. So now that the bass and the drums are ready, let's add in the melody. Again, go to your composition and copy the melody. Now a lesson in layers. I layered this melody quite a bit. Now you don't have to do as many layers as I did, but you can. Now if you want your final sound to be big, it's good to use layers. So I'm gonna show you layer by layer how this melody sounds. So for the first 3 layers, I used LANDR Synth X, and the first layer is this sound. This one is very light, but it adds character to the whole thing. What I liked about this synth is that it moves a lot, so the sound is sort of changing as it plays. The second layer is this one. And this one is more plucky. The third one, which is a nice analog synth. These 3 layers together sound like this. Next we have this one from Flex. Very percussive sound. This is gonna increase the attack of the sound, so the beginning of the sound. Next we have the 3 times oscillator, same as the bass, just the white noise, to achieve this clicky sound. Next I used a synth one shot, again using LANDR Samples, sort of like the sound in Martin Garrix's Animals. And whenever you are using a synth one shot, you gotta check the key of the one shot. This one is D sharp, and then you go to settings over here and you select the root note as D sharp. So usually it's at C, use the right click. So it starts at C, but then your melody won't be in the right key. So make sure to select the correct root note. That way all the melodies will be in the same key. All the samples are usually marked with the key of the sample. Then we have another one shot, but this time a vocal. Then we have a lead sound. Another one shot, which is this pluck with tons of reverb in it. Another one is this Don Diablo type synth. And then the last synth is this one, Super Soul from Flex. So now that we have all these layers playing together, we achieve this very full sound. So that's one of the ways you can achieve big sounds. Just stack a lot of layers together, each one with different characteristics, and then you are left with a really big, powerful sound. As far as the effects go, I sidechained the lead sounds as well, and I put sound goodies on them, some reverb for atmosphere, and a little bit of EQ. The song is coming together, but one more sound we definitely need to support all of this is some chords. I went with these piano chords. So what I did is just take the bass notes from the composition, take these bass notes, put them on a piano sound, and create simple chords. So to create the chords, start with the first note, then skip 2 notes, put a note on the third one, then skip 3 notes and put a note on the fourth one. This is a simple minor chord. The shape is always the same, and for the major chord, you just put this middle note one up. So this is major, this is minor. Now to differentiate when to use major and minor chords is quite simple. Since we set up the key to A minor, we can see the highlighted notes. Therefore, we always use the chord that fits into the highlighted note. So here, a minor chord fits in, and here we have a major chord. Because a minor chord would mean this note would be here, but it is not on the highlighted grid. So we're gonna choose a major chord here. So just go over the whole piano like this, creating these chords, major or minor, and at the end we are left with this. For the piano, I use Flex, this basic hard piano, and for the effects, I boosted all of these frequencies, the high ones and the mid ones, so this piano is more like the house pianos you hear all the time, because without it, but with it. And the house pianos are usually very bright, so the EQ looks like this, kind of ridiculous, but it works. Next, I layered the piano, again using the Synth X, a preset called Funky Piano, but it's more of a synth. Same chords as the piano, and they sound like this. So this synth fills in even more frequencies, and the overall result sounds more full. So the piano by itself, and the piano with the synth. And now all of the sounds together. Now we have a really full sound in the whole mix. Okay, so now the major part of the track is ready, but we cannot stop here just yet. A few things you can do is do some breaks in here. So we have the song playing, and at the end of 4 bars, let's have a little break like this. As you can see, I remove the drums at the end, and then I remove the drums at the beginning of the next repetition. And then we have the second repetition of the drop, where we add the hi-hats to the drums. And what we can do with the melody in the second repetition is put some of these layers octave higher. So right here, the first repetition, we have this synth on C5, and in the second repetition, we have the same synth, but on C6. It's always good practice to change something up in the second repetition, so it's even more powerful than the first one. So here is the end of the first one, and then we continue into the second one, which will sound even bigger. Very nice. So a lot of people would stop here, but we still have some very important things to add, which is the effects and fills. A lot of the times these are overlooked, but they are very important and make the whole track flow way better. So let me show you the effects and fills that I've added. First, we have some white noise, which just sounds like this. Again, using LANDR Samples to find these sounds. And this is just gonna make the whole drop sound more full. So without it, and with it. Then we have some crashes and risers and up filters. So we are constantly building this tension in the drop. And now, where we have those breaks that I mentioned, we can add some fills. We have this drum fill and this drum fill. Together they sound like this, and they create a nice transition between the different phases of the drop. In the second repetition, I also added this vocal chop. It's just in the background, but adds a lot of character. Again, I use LANDR Sample for this, and it's very nice because you can actually set up your key in here right off the bat to the one we have in our track, which is A minor. The sample will play in A minor right away. And we have the BPM set to our BPM, so the sample will be in the correct BPM and the correct key right when you drag it in your DAW. So we have this vocal, and we also have this one. Again, small things like these add a lot to the whole track. So if we just play it without the effects, and now with the effects, way more interesting. Now one more effect that I have here is this one, which is like a reversed synth, and all you need to do is take the first note of your synth, which is this one, and record it in Edison. Then we have this. And all you do is you put it in your DAW and reverse it. Then we have this. And what I did is also put gross beat on it with this tremolo effect. So it sounds like this. And that results in a really nice transition to the melody. And with that, the song is ready. Now the last thing we can do is master it. So what we are gonna do is export this to a WAV file. And once we have the WAV file, we can put this Mastering Pro plugin by LANDR on it, which will master the track for us. We will play the track and it will master it based on what it hears. So let's play the track and let's see what kind of mastering it does to it. So once the mastering plugin heard the audio, it determined the best settings, and we can now listen to it. lot better. Before it was sort of muddy and soft, and now it's a bit more saturated and punchy. Really nice mastering plugin, does all the work for you. And you can of course adjust it in any way you want if you choose to do so. Now let's have a listen to the finished result. And of course, if you want to get any of the plugins that I used today, the LANDR Samples, the LANDR Synth X, and the mastering plugin, check out the links in the description below. You can find them all there. Okay, let's have a listen to the finished result. Enjoy!